You can't bite Daddy anymore. Stop it. You've got to stop biting the Daddy. Do you understand? Ow! He clearly does not understand. Yeah, Oh, I always know you're up to something when you look at me with that crazy look in your eye. Ah, jeez. The hazards of owning a cat. Back to Freaking Out Productions. This is another double upload week. Because I know that's not for everyone and it's not what I usually do on this channel, I decided to upload one that is more serious and one that is more humorous. So the video I'm going to be reacting to is something that went viral, I believe, last month. Most reaction channels that have an interest in politics has been reacting to this. Full disclosure, I've already seen part of it. But there is a portion that I have not seen, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing that. I believe this is a very important topic and a very important conversation to have in 2023. And the title of that video is What Are We Doing to White People? By Charlie Cheon. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. I don't know Chinese or Cantonese or whatever the fuck. So without further ado, let's do this.
Let's talk about what we're doing to white people.
Okay.
There's been something going on for a while now that we're being told not to notice. More to the point, that we're asking white people not only to ignore, but to accept. The rising tide of racial hatred against white people. In the past decade, there has been a noticeable cultural shift in what constitutes acceptable speech as it relates to white people. Back when I was a kid, in the early 2000s, the mainstream American culture preached about respecting each other's differences and not seeing color.
Yep.
Nowadays, we say that not seeing color is racism, that you must see color. But the more I see how things are unfolding, the more I'm convinced that this is wrong. Back then, saying something offhanded about white people were seen as not appropriate, just as it would be to say something offhanded about people of any other race. But that soon gave way to our current times, in which there exists virtually no limit to what racial minorities can and do say about white people. I believe this is the natural outgrowth of a perverse ideology that teaches us that every societal ill is the fault of white people, and that whatever prejudice acts we may inflict upon them does not constitute discrimination because we don't have the power to discriminate. And alarmingly, this is particularly pronounced in the younger generation. But is it true? Do we not have the power to discriminate? Well, let's see. First, let's take a look at the racial hatred at the interpersonal level. In today's society, it has become somewhat fashionable to think things and say things about and to white people that would not be acceptable if it was said about any other race. And we're being taught that this double standard is not wrong, that it is rather a form of empowerment. They'll attribute negative experiences that they've had with white people to their whiteness. You had an argument in line at the grocery store with a white person? They were acting entitled because they were white. A white driver cut you off when you were driving? They need to check their white privilege.
Oh my God.
Your actions, your conduct, and your existence, in other words, boil down to your whiteness. And ashamedly, at one point in time, this was how I used to think as well. And beyond the people in my circle, I noticed that many people of color have this sort of blasé attitude, an attitude most particularly pronounced when there are no other white people around. Things are being said not just behind closed doors, but out in the open, not just between close friends, but between complete strangers. So here's the thing. This is something that I've experienced countless times, so I know that there are other people who are experiencing it too. I know it must resonate with at least some of you. The difficulty here is that no matter how many anecdotes I share, they are just that, anecdotes. And people who refuse to believe that this is happening will just chalk it up to my experiences being a fluke. Or worse yet, they'll say I'm lying. So I've compiled some TikTok videos. I want you to take a look at the things
That's
that are
the part I
being
haven't
said about
seen.
white people, especially by the younger generation. The kind of statements people wouldn't dare say about people of any other race.
That's
Take
the
a
part
look
that I
at
saved
what
for
is
this reaction
stunningly
video.
in vogue in today's society, and ask yourselves, where does this lead to years down the line?
You have a token white.
Token white?
And you're hanging out with your friend group of color. You need to ask permission from everybody in the group
Say
to
what?
bring your white friend. Like, don't just bring them. I might not be in the mood to deal with white shenanigans that day. That's all I'm saying. And another thing, it feeds into their ego. Like, don't let them think they're a good white person.
What the fuck is this bullshit? Minorities need to ask their minority friends if they can bring their white friend along? What, like it's a fucking leper or some shit? Ooh, may not want to have him around, your little token white friend. What the fuck is this bullshit? This sounds like the same mentality people had back in the black and white segregation days. I mean, are we going back to that? Is that what we're going back to? Is this progress? Is that what we're doing? Is that what's good in the streets? Is that what the kids are doing? Huh?
Accomplices ask, how can they support Black and Indigenous people of color? And sometimes I really don't know what to say, but here's one easy way. Just don't have babies.
Yeah. If you want to support Indigenous people, just don't have babies. That's it. Just don't have babies, you know? Don't procreate. Let your race die. I think I recall someone in the 1940s having the same mentality, only he took it a little bit further, but same kind of idea. It was a, genocide. Yeah. How about no?
Can single-handedly cause the white genocide.
White genocide.
That they are so afraid of. With 2.25 billion Asian women and 500 million white men, baby, it'll only take 2 generations. In 2 generations, there will no longer be any blonde-haired.
Why does it sound like she was getting turned on by this? She really sounded like she was getting turned on by genocide. And people say the hatred of white people is not real. People say that, what? Well, you're crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy. You can't be racist towards white people. You can't. You just can't, But they should all be exterminated. Or, phased out by not procreating. Pick your poison.
These are some things I noticed about white American culture. Being grounded is a punishment to them. That's what they call punishment.
That's what we call
the
it?
The least grounded, least balanced, most destructive race considers being grounded a punishment.
Fuck you, bitch.
Yeah. They also say really violent phrases. They say things like, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Why do we have to kill the birds? Why is everything so violent? It's almost like one's language and phrases reflects one's nature.
This from the culture that started the phrase, pop a cap in your ass. Yeah. We're the ones with the violent phrases, though. We're the only ones with the violent phrases. Plus, kill 2 birds with 1 stone does not mean actually, literally killing birds. It means accomplishing 2 things with 1 action. How does this bitch not understand that? How? How does she not understand that? I don't get it. Did she not go to school? I don't know. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she did. It's almost like boba tea kills brain cells. Can you tell these motherfuckers are really irritating me? And by these motherfuckers, I don't mean black people. Because surprisingly, a lot of the people who spread these things are white.
So that new Jeffrey Dahmer movie on Netflix,
it's a series,
is the perfect example
of
the sensationalization of white violence. People have a much easier time sympathizing with white criminals than they do with black victims. People think these shows are harmless, but they actually contribute to a much bigger issue. It contributes to the viewpoint that white people are less violent than everyone else.
How?
White violence is something to be consumed in media, and that's it.
How does the Jeffrey Dahmer series push the narrative that white people are less violent? The motherfucker is killing people in the most brutal ways and eating them. And he's white. How is it sending the message that they're less violent? What the fuck? And she said something about sympathizing with white killers more than the black victims. Do you think people watching that series are actually sympathizing with Jeffrey Dahmer? Do you think that's what the creators of the series had in mind? To turn him into some folk hero? The clear goal of the Jeffrey Dahmer series was to show how horrible of a person he was and how horrible his actions were, not to glorify them. In fact, the way the series was made was a tribute to the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer, most of whom were not white. So this bitch doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. I think her shower cap was probably on too tight.
What is with Caucasian people and like their inability to like read a fucking room? Like, y'all act like you don't understand shit because y'all be the first ones during a conversation about the Holocaust to get so mad when black people be like, you do realize that the original Jewish people were black, right?
Her teeth are very
Like,
distracting.
People do not need to explain to anybody about us all bleeding red because, baby, you all are the people that need to learn that lesson. Clearly, history shows that you
History,
all
yes,
are the
history,
people that
history,
like
yes.
to pillage and eradicate, enslave
History.
and oppress, attempt to suppress greatness because you all simply
History.
don't have it.
We simply don't have it. We don't have greatness. There is no greatness. There have been no great white people. So, Abraham Lincoln did not exist. Not exist at all. Albert Einstein. Albert who? Thomas Edison. I don't know. Never heard of that. Never heard of him. No idea who that is. John F. Who now? John F. Who? No. Kennedy? No, I don't know. No idea. No, we don't. There are no great white people. There's no greatness in our ranks at all. Not one. We're all terrible. And we need to stop having babies. I love how she said that history dictates that we haven't learned our lesson. History. Almost like she couldn't think of any present or current examples of systemic racism.
Right? Here go y'all cum goblins
Cum
who
goblins.
don't even live in the fucking city. Which, by the way, the Q-tip people are
Q-tip
the last
people?
ones to ever talk about somebody stealing anything. Y'all wouldn't be in this country had it not been for y'all stealing it. So y'all are more focused on people looting and trying to get necessities and things that they need. And yes, a TV is a fucking necessity.
TV
Thank
is a
you,
fucking
Buffy.
necessity.
You feel like you're better than because people are out here stealing and you would never. First of all, if you are a Mayo monster,
A Mayo monster.
that is how your
Okay.
ancestors got everything from stealing.
So here we see the 3-year-old mentality. They did it first. They started it. So it's okay if I do it. I think you would have trouble finding any white person who would say, hey, stealing that native land? Good on us. Good job. Hey, you know what? That was great. That was there was absolutely nothing wrong about that. Killing a bunch of Native Americans, good old family-friendly time. There is not one, well, maybe there is one single white person saying that, but there's hardly any white people saying that stealing the Native Americans' land was okay. And just because one culture did something is not justification for you committing a similar act to a lesser degree, such as stealing and looting. It don't work that way. Oh, and a TV is not a necessity. If you do not have a TV, you'll still survive. You'll still survive as long as you got food, water, shelter. Those are necessities. TV, not so much.
And that's a behavior that's very common among white women. You may have not intended that, but there are many white women who act exactly like you.
Oh, yes. Hi. Yeah. What is a white woman? What is that? I've never heard that word before. But it's a beautiful word, though. It's a beautiful word. I'm gonna work it into my vocabulary. But what is that? What is a white woman? What is that? I'd like to know. Please educate me.
If BIPOC stand in the street and scream at the top of their lungs, I hate all white people, I want all white people to go die, die white devil, you cracker bitch, that's still not racism.
What? You're not one of the good white people. Stop separating us from the bad white people. Don't sit out there in comments and say, we don't claim them. We are them. We are the ones shooting up schools. We are the ones raping people, the ones enslaving people.
Did you just confess to shooting up schools, raping people, and enslaving people? You heard that, right? She made a confession. That she, right? She's one of the ones doing that. Right? Hold on a second. Just gotta make a call here. All right. Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a series of crimes. All right, that's about as much stupidity as I can take. I can't take any more. However, I have left a link to the video in the description section. Charlie Cheon continues to speak after the series of TikToks. If you want to hear what he has to say, feel free to check it out. Now, here's what I have to say. Like Charlie said earlier in the video, where is this going to lead us? Well, I think there's one very clear answer to that. And this is not an outcome that I want. This is not an outcome that I'm calling for. Just to make that clear, all right, YouTube? This is all heading towards a race war. There is no other outcome other than a race war. This is where we're marching towards. And here's another scary thought. I will admit that there are white supremacists out there. Probably not nearly as much as there used to be. But there are white supremacists out there. They exist. If this hatred and discrimination and talk of white genocide continues, what do you think is going to happen concerning all these white supremacists? I want you to think about that. What do you think the outcome of all this hatred and anger is going to be? I think it's high time we start treating everyone the same, no matter what color their skin is or what crimes against humanity their ancestors committed. So let's hold hands, love each other, stop the hate. If you like this video, give it a like, give it a comment in the comment section below, share it on social media, such as Facebook, Twitter, whatever. And if you haven't done so yet, subscribe. See you next time.